First of all, very warm welcome from the organizers of the virtual fair. The virtual fair is a series of webinars being organized by the European Union delegation in India. And you are going to make a presentation on the study opportunities provided by your institute, namely Groupe ESC Clermont from France, and your presentation is on business management and marketing. And what I will do is I will take out the presentation that you've shared with us. So now you see that your presentation is there.
Yeah, that's it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Things are working. Congratulations.
Okay.
Okay. So we were running a little bit late. I will give you 15 minutes and then you will have about 5 to 7 minutes to answer any questions which you might be interested. Over to you now. I will disappear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you especially for giving us the chance to participate in the webinar and to have a contact with a lot of people around the world, and especially in India. I'm a representative for our school, so my name is Helga Foure Joopen. I'm faculty member in management department, and so I have the honor to address myself to you all and to explain a little bit what we are doing in ESC Clermont. Let's say, just to start with, you see that ESC Clermont is located right in the middle of France. Let's say Clermont-Ferrand is a city of about 360,000 inhabitants. Out of them, we count among 45,000 students. So I can underline that it's a real student city in which there is good living conditions, especially for those who are looking for a place where the locations are not too, the rent is not too high, and where living costs are rather low. Of course, as we are in the center of France, we are connected to Paris and Lyon, which are the biggest cities in France. Let's say Paris is 3 hours away, Lyon 2 hours away from us. So that means that we are quite available for trips and other journeys all around Europe. Let's say something especially important for Indian students, because I'm supposing that as you want to go to a business school, that business is something of the major parts for you. That is that the region of Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, in which Clermont-Ferrand is situated, is so one of the biggest regions, economically speaking, in France. France is the counterpart of Germany. I'm German. I have been living in France for 40 years here in Clermont-Ferrand. And as you may discover, so I'm still very much connected to this city and to the school. As France is something very important in Europe, not just Spain, because I've of course been listening very attentively to the first presentation. France is somehow very important as well inside of Europe, and so maybe the culture point of view may be very interesting to some of the Indian students as well. Let's say it's a very green region, so there's no pollution. Maybe that may something interesting to the students as well, who are coming from big cities such as New Delhi. I have been myself to New Delhi, and I can imagine that it could be some point of, let's say, of a positive aspect to the students. Coming now a little bit more to the city, let's say something which is interesting to the students, maybe the point of the accommodation. Let's say everybody finds very easily accommodation. It's a very safe city. As far as quality of life is mentioned, Clermont-Ferrand has been situated as the first city by one of the biggest journals here in France. And so let's say, especially when it comes to girls coming to France, maybe that could be a positive aspect for coming to France, and especially to Clermont-Ferrand. Of course, as all the business schools in France, we have a lot of associations, and they are dedicated to sports, to arts, to culture, to humanitarian aspects. And so I think people might find something interesting inside of these associations as well for the cultural point. let's say why associations are very important in business schools, and especially with us. It's a first stepstone to be a manager, because they will apply, in fact, the theoretical points they have studied inside of the classroom by doing themselves, learning by doing, and make an association being profitable or, let's say, feasible in their activities. Going on to the next point, so the school is rather old already. As you see, it has been founded in 1919. Sorry, that means our history is rather old already, and that means we are one of the oldest business schools in France. But that doesn't mean that we are old in our mindset. That means just that we have some kind of evidence for the quality, and that the programs has always been very much welcomed as far as professional people are concerned, and the students as well. Our school is very much dedicated to welcoming international students. As you can see, we have right now 280 international students out of 450. And let's say the total amount of students is 1,300, but I'm just talking about the master's programs, in which we welcome quite a lot of people from all over the world. And as well Indian students, but up so far it has been done much more to the European students, as we offer English programs, English-speaking programs. We can so award the diploma for the programs held in French and in English to all the international students as well. Something interesting maybe that we have for those people who are very much business oriented, we have what we call an incubator, inside of which the students can start their own business, and they're so supported by companies and by European fundings, by financial support from the city and the region. And of course, they have all the possibilities to have a framework which helps them to find their way when it comes up to finding an enterprise or a company, and to do their own job inside of their own company. As you can see, we are very much proud of the accreditations we have. Of course, we have the visa, what we call the visa of the Ministry of Education, as well of the conference of the what we call Grande École, which is so a consortium of more than 40 schools, which so can deliver so the degrees and the certificates for the studies. We are very much proud to have the accreditation of ASB as well, and having done eagerly the EPAS accreditation, the first step for EQUIS. We are just undergoing the examination for AMBA. That is why it's not still appearing on the slide, but it's this week that we will undergo the certification for AMBA as well. That means the professional part is very much important to us. All these accreditations, of course, are proof of the quality of the studies, but as well of the acknowledgement of the professional part. That means the companies who will come back to us by integrating our students very quickly, even before they have got their degree, and right away after into the jobs. Sorry. So let's say inside of France we have so many business schools, what we call Grande École, so big, great schools. Our one, the legal framework is so a private school. It's an association which is supported by many companies, and especially, of course, by the Chamber of Commerce, by Michelin, which is so a very brand which normally people know very well, which is a tire company, and by Limagrin, which is so a company for seats, maybe as well worldwide known. As well, we are supported by many banks. One of these is Société Générale, which is a very big company in France, and who trusts in us for the quality of our programs. So, Before going into the details of the programs, I want just to mention a little bit the missions. What we call our mission is to train people to be good and very successful professionals in today's business world. And not just to give them theoretical and conceptual background, but as well values, because what we think, in fact, is that students nowadays, they have to be proactive managers, of course, and entrepreneurs as leaders, but equally being endowed of values in order to have the human aspect inside of the company. That is why we foster very much the management point of views as far as society is concerned and the social background, for example, CSR. People so inside of the school are very much attached to these values and they're working with the faculty and the administrative people on these kind of values in order to have some kind of corporate identity, which may be something significant as far as our school is concerned. So, coming back a little bit more on the details of our programs, as far as you have seen, so we have, of course, a bachelor's program, which is 3 years long, a master's program, 2 years, which is normal, and some Master of Science programs, which you can read here, are dedicated to finance, project management, business intelligence, or international commerce and digital marketing. There are some others coming up, which are not still appearing here on the slide, but we will have as well a Master of Science in Sports Management, which will be done up from next intake. Coming back to the bachelor's, so let's say the bachelor's program is, as many programs in France, dedicated to the fundamentals of management, but is somehow distinct because we have some specializations which are so international business, business and sports, international marketing, and international finance. The 3 years program is so dedicated to people in French and in English as well. We have so 2 tracks. And what we want people to do is so to have an international view on these specializations as well. And that is why we underline the fact that our internships, which are a very big part of the program, can be done not only in France, but as well abroad in any country you like, always with the academic advisor situated in France. Our master's program, 2 years so running, is as well the fundamentals of management, coming back on the bachelor's background, of course, but then having as well a lot of digital marketing specializations, business intelligence, business analytics, digital design manager, development of mobility, business in sports, and then, of course, everything which has to do with audit and finance. There are quite a lot of others, which you can have, of course, mentioned in our site. But it's just to make sure that we are rather proactive, and what we would like people to be is so proactive managers, because the context in economy is changing all the time, and we are very much listening to the companies and to the context of the economy in order to be proactive enough. These programs so are possible for people who are free movers. That means they don't run under the agreement with partnerships of Indian institutions, for example, or with other foreign partners we have everywhere over the world. If there is an agreement with one of the partners all over the world, the master's program can be done by equivalence, giving, for example, the first year of masters as an equivalent and just doing the second part. That means the Master 2 program, which is so 1 part academic and 1 part internship. For those people who are coming inside of a framework with a partnership, there is equally something possible to do. That means to have some kind of gap year between the Master 1 and the Master 2 year, allowing the students to have a professional experience in one of the companies we're working with, or going abroad to one of the other partners we have all over the world. If you're a free mover and you want to come into this 2 years master's program, this is possible equally. And there are of course, no addition to the fees we will discuss later on, I suppose. So, of course, I just have to come back on this, because of course we are doing a doctoral track with one of our university partners, because as you may know, that the business schools in France are not allowed to award a doctoral degree, but they can do this only in collaboration with a university, and we do this with one of our university partners here in Clermont-Ferrand. For this, you will have to deliver, of course, the proof of your master's degree and doing one preparation year in order to undergo the process of a doctoral degree. Coming back to the international part, so as I said just before, it's a very important part for us to have a lot of connections all over the world, because as we want to be a worldwide school, even if our school is very concentrated inside of Clermont-Ferrand, the location is center-bound, we want to be something like a platform which is spread all over the world, and that is why we have people coming and going all over the world. We have even more than 100 partners all over the world with, as you may see, 50 countries, but we are still developing new partnerships with dual degrees, with made-to-measure courses, with summer schools, study tours, and of course, which is very important, to have the possibility to do the internships with our partners abroad, because sometimes it's rather hard. I will have to come back a little bit of this international part, as of course many people do speak English, but not so many do speak French. When people who are English speaking come to our school, they will have mandatory classes in French in order to be capable of finding an internship in France, knowing that if people don't speak French inside of in France, they will not find an internship. It's very, very seldom and rare to find an internship in a French company if you are not capable of communicating in French. That is why we prepare our students with French language classes to make them capable to speak with people and to apply to a job, an internship, or maybe even later on for a real program somewhere. We have joint research projects all over the world with our international partners, as you may see, and institutional exchanges. That means there are visiting professors coming along all the time, because what we want as well is to enlarge the pedagogical approach, the academic approach, and to make take profit all the students of the different possibilities of understanding of marketing, for example, of finance, of management especially, and that is why we foster these relationships with many people around the world. That is why you see, for example, when it comes to underline a little bit more the research work, we have combinations of research centers. We have collaborations with certain centers on 3 research tracks that may be interesting for some of the people who are listening right now, which are of course, organizations and innovation, human potential, so human resource management, governance and finance. This is much more oriented on financial part, CSR included, and something which is a little bit more dedicated to our school is the territorial strategy, because as we are very much bound to our territory, so Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, we are very much connected with the companies, and we are doing this research work in collaboration with them. As you see, there are 4 chairs in the research center, which maybe to underline the most important for us is, in that case, the health and territories aspect. And of course, we are collaborating very much on conferences with different centers, and of course, we do publish inside of the ranked reviews and journals, which you may know. So I'm coming to the end of the presentation. I'm sorry I hurried up a little bit because I think I would much more like to have your questions and come back to you on the questions which may be coming up after my presentation, knowing that you can apply to our school, of course, on our website. And on our website, of course, there are much more indications for the programs than what I have already done. You will have to apply for the intakes in September already up from March. That means the year before. That means if you want to come next year in September, you will have to apply up from March next year. For some programs, we have 2 intakes. For example, for the MSc Digital Marketing, there are 2 intakes. We try to have the possibility to adapt to the constraints of our students abroad. But up so far, let's say that the equivalents are much more given when it comes to partnerships with our partners all over the world, and not just on the file you may send to us. Of course, all the students who want to apply to our school, they have to undergo an examination with Campus France, which is the institution which is delivering the visa. We do have a visa department here in our school to help you in this kind of process. We do have the possibility to deliver scholarships depending on the awards you might give as an evidence for your curriculum. Inside of the school, your studies here, we do have scholarships as well, which we deliver for the most meritant students. So there are some kind of possibilities. Maybe for those who are interested in the financial aspect, not to forget that the city of Clermont-Ferrand allows you to have a financial support for everything which has to do with accommodation as well. So I would like to stop here and give you the opportunity to ask questions. Of course, I'm available on the website, on my mailing, etc. If ever you have more specific questions and if you want to come back to the presentation. Thank you very much for listening to me.